Islamic history is a rich tapestry woven with pivotal events, influential figures, and profound cultural transformations. From its inception in the early 7th century on the Arabian Peninsula, Islam rapidly expanded to form one of the world's most powerful and enduring civilizations. This book delves into the significant milestones and personalities that have shaped Islamic history, offering a comprehensive understanding of its development and legacy. Through an exploration of key moments and influential leaders, we aim to provide a deeper appreciation of the profound impact of Islam on global history. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, born in Mecca around 570 CE, emerged from the tribe of Quraysh, known for their custodianship of the Kaaba, a revered sanctuary in Arabian religious life. Orphaned at a young age, Muhammad was raised by his uncle Abu Talib, a prominent figure within the tribe. As a youth, Muhammad earned the moniker Al-Amin, the trustworthy, for his honesty and reliability. His early career as a merchant allowed him to travel widely, encountering diverse cultures and religious traditions. Around the age of 40, during one of his retreats in the cave of Hira, Muhammad experienced a profound spiritual event. The angel Gabriel appeared to him, conveying the first revelation from God. This marked the beginning of Muhammad's role as the prophet of Islam, tasked with spreading the message of monotheism and social justice. Initially, his message was met with resistance, particularly from the powerful Quraysh elite, who saw it as a threat to their social and economic order. Despite persecution, Muhammad's following grew, particularly among the marginalized and oppressed. Key early converts included his wife Khadija, his cousin Ali, and his close friend Abu Bakr. Facing increasing hostility, Muhammad and his followers eventually sought refuge in the city of Yathrib, later known as Medina. This migration, or Hijra, in 622 CE, marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar and was a pivotal moment in Islamic history. In Medina, Muhammad established a cohesive Muslim community, or Ummah, bound by faith rather than tribal affiliations. He acted as both a spiritual leader and a political statesman, drafting the Constitution of Medina, which outlined the rights and responsibilities of all citizens, including non-Muslims. This document is considered one of the earliest written constitutions, emphasizing social justice, religious tolerance, and communal welfare. Muhammad's leadership in Medina led to several conflicts with the Quraysh of Mecca, including notable battles such as Badr, Uhud, and the Battle of the Trench. Despite the odds, the Muslims' resilience and strategic acumen often turned the tide in their favor. These victories, combined with Muhammad's diplomatic efforts, gradually shifted the balance of power. In 630 CE, after years of skirmishes and negotiations, Muhammad and his followers marched peacefully into Mecca. The city capitulated without bloodshed, and the Prophet's first act was to cleanse the Kaaba of idols, rededicating it to the worship of the one true God, Allah. This conquest solidified Muhammad's role as a unifier and leader, significantly expanding the influence of Islam. The final years of Muhammad's life were marked by the consolidation of the Muslim state and the spread of Islam across the Arabian Peninsula. His farewell pilgrimage in 632 CE underscored his role as the last prophet in a line that included Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Muhammad passed away shortly after, leaving behind a rapidly growing religious and political entity. Following Muhammad's death, the Muslim community faced the challenge of succession, leading to the establishment of the Rashidun Caliphate. Abu Bakr, Muhammad's close companion and father-in-law, was elected as the first caliph. His leadership was immediately tested by the Ridda Wars, a series of rebellions by tribes that had renounced Islam following Muhammad's death. Abu Bakr's decisive actions in these conflicts reasserted the unity and authority of the Islamic State. Abu Bakr's tenure also saw the beginning of the Muslim conquests beyond Arabia. Under his leadership, Muslim forces achieved significant victories against the Byzantine and Sasanian empires, setting the stage for the expansion of the Islamic realm. His brief but impactful caliphate ended with his death in 634 CE, at which point Umar ibn al-Khattab succeeded him. Umar, known for his administrative prowess and piety, significantly expanded the Islamic empire. His reign witnessed the conquest of key regions, including Syria, Egypt, and Persia. Umar's governance was marked by significant administrative reforms, including the establishment of a judicial system, the Diwan, state treasury, and a structured tax system. His policies ensured the equitable distribution of resources and the fair treatment of non-Muslim subjects, who were granted religious autonomy and protection in exchange for a tax, jizya. Umar's leadership came to an abrupt end when he was assassinated in 644 CE. His successor, Uthman ibn Affan, continued the expansionist policies, but faced growing internal dissent. Uthman's tenure is most noted for the compilation of the Quran into a single, authoritative text, ensuring the preservation of the revelations received by Muhammad. However, accusations of nepotism and favoritism marred his caliphate, leading to widespread unrest. The dissatisfaction culminated in Uthman's assassination in 656 CE, plunging the Muslim community into the First Fitna, a civil war that tested the unity of the Islamic State. Ali ibn Abi Talib, Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law, was chosen as the fourth caliph amid this turmoil. Ali's caliphate was marked by significant challenges, including opposition from Aisha, the Prophet's widow, and a faction led by Muawiyah, the governor of Syria. The Battle of the Camel and the Battle of Siffin were key conflicts during Ali's reign, both reflecting deep-seated divisions within the Muslim community. Despite his efforts to maintain unity and justice, Ali's tenure was plagued by discord, culminating in his assassination in 661 CE. His death marked the end of the Rashidun Caliphate and the beginning of the Umayyad dynasty under Muawiyah. The Rashidun Caliphate, though brief, laid the foundations for the Islamic civilization, establishing administrative frameworks and ensuring the spread of Islam through strategic governance and military conquests. The legacy of the first four caliphs continues to be a source of inspiration and debate within the Muslim world, reflecting the complex interplay of faith, politics, and history in the early years of Islam. The Umayyad dynasty emerged as a dominant force in the early Islamic world following the tumultuous end of the Rashidun Caliphate. Under the leadership of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, the first Umayyad caliph, the dynasty established its capital in Damascus, Syria. This strategic relocation from Medina to Damascus signaled a shift in the political center of the Muslim world and facilitated better administrative control over the rapidly expanding empire. Muawiyah's reign marked the beginning of a hereditary monarchy, deviating from the earlier elective system of choosing caliphs. He consolidated power by creating a centralized administrative structure and appointing loyal governors to oversee various provinces. His diplomatic skills and pragmatic policies stabilized the empire, which stretched from the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the Indian subcontinent in the east. Muawiyah's focus on building a strong navy allowed the Umayyads to exert influence across the Mediterranean, furthering their reach and securing key trade routes. The Umayyad period was characterized by significant cultural and architectural achievements. One of the most notable examples is the construction of the Great Mosque of Damascus, an architectural marvel that combined Byzantine and Persian influences, reflecting the cosmopolitan nature of the Umayyad state. The Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, another iconic structure, symbolized the Islamic presence in the Holy Land and showcased the dynasty's artistic and engineering prowess. Despite these achievements, the Umayyad dynasty faced internal challenges and dissent. The perceived favoritism towards the Arab elite and the exclusion of non-Arab Muslims, Mawali, from significant political and social roles led to growing discontent. This tension was further exacerbated by the extravagant lifestyles of some Umayyad rulers, which contrasted sharply with the egalitarian principles of early Islam. One of the most formidable uprisings against Umayyad rule was led by Abd al-Rahman ibn Muhammad ibn al-Ash'ath in the late 7th century. This rebellion, though ultimately unsuccessful, highlighted the deep-seated grievances within the empire. The Umayyads' inability to effectively address these issues eventually contributed to their downfall. The Abbasid Revolution, which culminated in 750 CE, marked the end of the Umayyad dynasty. Led by the descendants of Muhammad's uncle, Abbas ibn Abd al-Muttalib, the Abbasid movement capitalized on widespread discontent and mobilized diverse factions, including non-Arab Muslims, Shiites, and disenfranchised groups. The decisive battle at the Zab River and the subsequent capture of Damascus marked the beginning of Abbasid rule. The Abbasids moved the capital to Baghdad, a city they founded on the banks of the Tigris River. Under the Abbasids, the Islamic world experienced a golden age of intellectual, cultural, and scientific achievements. Baghdad became a thriving metropolis and a center of learning, attracting scholars, scientists, and artists from various parts of the world. The Abbasid caliphs, particularly Harun al-Rashid and his son al-Ma'mun, patronized the arts and sciences, leading to significant advancements in fields such as astronomy, medicine, mathematics, and philosophy. The establishment of the House of Wisdom, Bait al-Hikmah, in Baghdad epitomized the Abbasid commitment to knowledge and learning. This institution served as a major center for the translation of Greek, Persian, and Indian texts into Arabic, preserving and enhancing the scientific heritage of previous civilizations. Notable scholars such as al-Khwarizmi, al-Razi, and Ibn Sina made groundbreaking contributions during this period, laying the foundations for modern science and medicine. Culturally, the Abbasid era saw the flourishing of literature and the arts, the compilation of classical Arabic poetry, and the development of new literary forms, such as the Maqamat, a collection of short stories, enriched Arabic literature. The 1001 Nights, Arabian Nights collection, with its enchanting tales of adventure and romance, captured the imagination of people across cultures and continues to be a beloved classic. However, the Abbasid Caliphate was not without its challenges. The vastness of the empire made it difficult to govern effectively, leading to decentralization and the rise of semi-independent dynasties. The Fatimids in North Africa, the Tulunids in Egypt, and the Samanids in Persia are examples of regions that developed significant autonomy while nominally acknowledging Abbasid suzerainty. Internal strife also plagued the Abbasids, particularly during the later years of their rule. The rivalry between different factions within the caliphal court often led to power struggles and political instability. The influence of the Turkish military slaves, or Mamluks, who initially served as the caliph's bodyguards, grew over time, eventually allowing them to dominate the political landscape. The sacking of Baghdad by the Mongols in 1258 CE dealt a catastrophic blow to the Abbasid Caliphate. The destruction of the city and the loss of countless manuscripts and scientific works marked the end of the Abbasid Golden Age. Despite this, the legacy of the Abbasids endured, as many of their contributions to science, culture, and governance continued to influence subsequent Islamic and global civilizations. The decline of the Abbasid Caliphate also saw the emergence of new powers in the Islamic world, such as the Mamluk Sultanate in Egypt and the Delhi Sultanate in India. These entities carried forward the intellectual and cultural traditions of the Abbasids, while adapting to their own regional contexts. The Umayyad and Abbasid dynasties together spanned nearly 6 centuries, during which they shaped the course of Islamic history and left an indelible mark on global civilization. The Umayyads established the foundations of a vast empire, while the Abbasids cultivated a golden age of knowledge and cultural flourishing. Their combined legacy is a testament to the dynamism and resilience of Islamic civilization, which continues to inspire and influence the modern world. The Crusades, a series of religious and military campaigns waged between the 11th and 13th centuries, profoundly impacted both the Christian and Muslim worlds. Initiated by Pope Urban II in 1095, the Crusades aimed to reclaim Jerusalem and the Holy Land from Muslim rule. This call to arms was not solely about religious fervor. It was also driven by political, economic, and social factors. European nobles saw the Crusades as an opportunity to gain land and wealth, while the Church sought to unite Christendom under its banner and redirect internal conflicts towards a common enemy. The First Crusade, 1096-1099, began with a diverse array of European knights, nobles, and peasants marching towards the Holy Land. This campaign culminated in the capture of Jerusalem in 1099, a momentous event marked by a brutal massacre of the city's Muslim and Jewish inhabitants. The Crusaders established several Latin Christian states, including the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the County of Tripoli, the Principality of Antioch, and the County of Edessa, which served as footholds in the region. These Crusader states were heavily fortified and relied on a constant influx of men and material from Europe. The establishment of these states created a complex patchwork of territories where Christians, Muslims, and Jews coexisted, often uneasily. The native Muslim populations faced heavy taxation and restrictions, while the Crusaders fortified their positions and built alliances with local Christian communities. The Muslim response to the Crusades was initially fragmented. The political landscape of the Muslim world at the time was characterized by the disunity of the Seljuk Turks, Fatimids, and various local emirs. However, the brutal nature of the Crusader conquests and the loss of Jerusalem galvanized Muslim leaders and communities across the region. A significant turning point came with the rise of Zengi, the Atabeg of Mosul, who captured the Crusader state of Edessa in 1144, signaling the beginning of a more coordinated Muslim resistance. The Second Crusade, 1147-1149, was launched in response to the fall of Edessa, but ended in failure for the Crusaders. Despite the high hopes and substantial armies led by European monarchs, such as Louis VII of France and Conrad III of Germany, the campaign failed to achieve its objectives and further weakened the Christian position in the Holy Land. This period also saw the rise of a new Muslim leader, Nur ad-Din, who continued the efforts to unite Muslim forces against the Crusaders. A pivotal figure in the Muslim response to the Crusades was Salah ad-Din, a Kurdish general who rose to prominence in the latter half of the 12th century. Saladin's leadership and vision were instrumental in unifying the Muslim territories of Egypt, Syria, and parts of Mesopotamia under his command. His efforts culminated in the decisive Battle of Hattin in 1187, where his forces defeated the Crusader army and recaptured Jerusalem. Saladin's reconquest of Jerusalem was notable for his relatively humane treatment of the city's Christian inhabitants, in stark contrast to the massacre that had occurred during the First Crusade. The Third Crusade, 1189-1192, led by notable European monarchs such as Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip II of France, and Frederick Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire aimed to recapture Jerusalem. Despite several significant battles and the temporary capture of key coastal cities like Acre, the Crusaders failed to retake Jerusalem. The campaign concluded with a truce between Richard and Saladin, allowing Christian pilgrims access to the holy sites while the city remained under Muslim control. The subsequent crusades, including the Fourth Crusade, 1202-1204, deviated from their original purpose. The Fourth Crusade infamously resulted in the sack of Constantinople, a Christian city, further fracturing the unity of Christendom and undermining the Crusader cause. Later crusades, such as the Fifth, 1217-1221, and Sixth, 1228-1229, achieved limited success and failed to establish a lasting Christian presence in the Holy Land. The later crusades also saw increasing involvement from various Muslim leaders who continued to resist and repel the Crusader incursions. The Ayyubid dynasty, founded by Saladin, played a central role in these efforts, maintaining a strong defense against Crusader attacks. Additionally, the rise of the Mamluks, a military caste that seized control of Egypt in the mid-13th century, marked a new phase in the Muslim resistance. The Mamluks, under leaders like Sultan Baybars and Sultan Qalawun, launched successful campaigns to eliminate the remaining Crusader states, culminating in the fall of Acre in 1291, which effectively ended the Crusader presence in the Levant. The Crusades had profound and lasting impacts on both the Muslim and Christian worlds. In the Islamic world, the Crusades led to significant military, political, and social changes. The need for coordinated defense against the Crusaders fostered greater political unity among Muslim states, though this unity was often temporary and driven by immediate threats. The encounters with Crusaders also spurred advancements in military technology and tactics, as well as the construction of formidable fortifications that would influence Islamic architecture for centuries. Culturally, the Crusades intensified the Muslim world's awareness of Europe and vice versa. While the immediate impact was one of hostility and conflict, over time, the Crusades facilitated a degree of cultural and intellectual exchange. Islamic science, medicine, and philosophy had a profound influence on Europe, transmitted through various channels, including the Crusader states, Andalusia, and the burgeoning trade networks that connected East and West. The Crusades also had significant repercussions for Christian-Muslim relations. The brutality and zealotry displayed by both sides left a legacy of mistrust and animosity that would resonate through subsequent centuries. However, the period also saw moments of chivalric respect and diplomatic negotiation, particularly between leaders like Richard the Lionheart and Saladin, whose interactions became legendary examples of honor and respect in warfare. In Europe, the Crusades had wide-ranging effects on society, economy, and politics. They contributed to the rise of a more militant and expansionist form of Christianity, exemplified by the formation of military orders such as the Knights Templar and the Hospitallers. The Crusades also stimulated trade and exploration, as Europeans sought to establish and maintain routes to the East. The demand for Eastern goods such as spices, silk, and other luxuries led to the growth of trade networks that would eventually pave the way for the age of exploration. Politically, the Crusades shifted power dynamics within Europe. The involvement of European monarchs and nobles in Crusader ventures often led to shifts in land ownership and political alliances. The financing of the Crusades also had significant economic implications, leading to the development of new financial instruments and institutions that would shape the emerging European economy. The legacy of the Crusades is complex and multifaceted, encompassing both the immediate impacts of conflict and the longer-term consequences for Christian-Muslim relations, cultural exchange, and geopolitical developments. The Crusades remain a deeply studied and debated period in history, symbolizing the profound and often tumultuous interactions between different civilizations and faiths. The Ottoman Empire, one of the longest-lasting and most influential empires in history, began its ascent in the late 13th century under the leadership of Osman I, from whom the empire derives its name. Initially a small principality in northwestern Anatolia, the Ottomans expanded rapidly due to their military prowess, strategic marriages, and the weakening Byzantine Empire. The capture of Bursa in 1326 marked a significant milestone, establishing it as the first major Ottoman city and a launching pad for further conquests. A pivotal moment in Ottoman history came with the conquest of Constantinople in 1453 by Sultan Mehmed II, also known as Mehmed the Conqueror. This event not only ended the Byzantine Empire, but also established the Ottomans as a dominant force in both Europe and Asia. Constantinople, renamed Istanbul, became the empire's capital, symbolizing its new status as a major world power. Mehmed II's reign was marked by extensive administrative, military, and cultural reforms that laid the foundation for the empire's future stability and growth. The expansion continued under subsequent sultans, with notable achievements during the reign of Suleiman the Magnificent, 1520–1566. Suleiman's rule is often considered the apex of Ottoman power, characterized by territorial expansion, legal reform, and cultural patronage. The Ottoman Empire extended its reach into Europe, Asia, and Africa, incorporating diverse cultures and peoples. Suleiman's military campaigns included significant victories such as the capture of Belgrade, Rhodes, and large parts of Hungary, as well as a formidable naval presence in the Mediterranean. Suleiman's legal reforms, known as the Qanun, codified and streamlined the administrative and legal structures of the empire, ensuring greater consistency and fairness. He also patronized the arts and architecture, commissioning masterpieces like the Süleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul, which symbolized the empire's architectural and cultural zenith. The Ottoman administrative system was a complex and efficient blend of centralization and local autonomy. The Sultan wielded supreme authority, supported by a hierarchical bureaucracy that included the Grand Vizier and a council of ministers known as the Divan. Provincial governors, or beys, managed local affairs, ensuring the collection of taxes and maintenance of order. The Devshirme system, which recruited Christian boys from the Balkans to serve as janissaries, elite soldiers, or in the administration, exemplified the empire's unique approach to governance and integration of different communities. Culturally, the Ottoman Empire was a melting pot of diverse influences, reflecting its vast and varied territories. This diversity was evident in the arts, literature, cuisine, and daily life, with significant contributions from Turkish, Persian, Arab, and European traditions. The Ottomans excelled in calligraphy, miniature painting, textiles, and ceramics, creating a rich cultural tapestry that influenced neighboring regions. The decline of the Ottoman Empire began in the late 17th century, marked by military defeats, administrative inefficiencies, and economic challenges. The Battle of Vienna in 1683 was a turning point, halting Ottoman expansion into Europe and beginning a long period of military setbacks. The Treaty of Karlowitz in 1699 forced the Ottomans to cede significant territories in Europe, signaling the start of their territorial contraction. Internal strife, corruption, and the rigid adherence to outdated military tactics further weakened the empire. The Janissaries, once an elite and disciplined force, became increasingly unruly and resistant to change, undermining military effectiveness. Additionally, the empire's vast bureaucracy became bloated and inefficient, leading to difficulties in governance and fiscal management. The 19th century brought new challenges as European powers, buoyed by the Industrial Revolution, began to exert greater influence over the Ottoman territories. The empire's strategic location made it a focal point of European geopolitical interests, leading to a series of conflicts and territorial losses. The Greek War of Independence, 1821-1830, the Crimean War, 1853-1856, and the Russo-Turkish War, 1877-1878, exemplified the external pressures faced by the Ottomans during this period. In response to these challenges, the Ottomans undertook a series of modernization efforts known as the Tanzimat Reforms, 1839-1876. These reforms aimed to centralize and modernize the administration, economy, and military. Key initiatives included the introduction of new legal codes, the establishment of a modern army, and efforts to stimulate economic growth through infrastructure projects and industrialization. However, these reforms met with mixed success and were often resisted by conservative factions within the empire. The early 20th century brought further turmoil with the Balkan Wars, 1912-1913, and World War I, 1914-1918. The Balkan Wars resulted in the loss of nearly all Ottoman territories in Europe, further diminishing the empire's influence and power. World War I proved catastrophic for the Ottomans, who allied with the Central Powers and faced invasions on multiple fronts. The Arab Revolt, 1916-1918, supported by the British, further eroded Ottoman control in the Middle East. The culmination of these events led to the empire's dissolution following World War I. The Treaty of Sèvres, 1920, and later the Treaty of Lausanne, 1923, partitioned Ottoman territories, leaving a significantly reduced state centered around Anatolia. The rise of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk and the establishment of the Republic of Turkey in 1923 marked the end of the Ottoman Empire and the beginning of a new era for the Turkish people. The legacy of the Ottoman Empire continues to influence the modern world. Its administrative practices, legal reforms, and cultural achievements left a lasting impact on the regions it once governed. The empire's approach to governance, which balanced central authority with local autonomy, has been studied as a model for managing diverse and multi-ethnic states. The cultural and architectural heritage of the Ottomans, evident in landmarks like the Topkapi Palace and the Hagia Sophia, remains a testament to their historical significance. The impact of colonialism on the Islamic world during the 19th and 20th centuries was profound and transformative. European powers, driven by economic interests and imperial ambitions, established control over vast territories in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. The imposition of foreign rule disrupted traditional societies, economies, and political structures, leading to widespread resistance and the eventual rise of nationalist movements. In North Africa, countries like Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya fell under French and Italian colonial rule. The French conquest of Algeria in 1830 was particularly brutal, resulting in significant loss of life and the expropriation of land. The colonial administration imposed European legal and educational systems, undermining local traditions and institutions. Similarly, in Egypt, British control established in 1882 transformed the country's economy and infrastructure, but also sparked nationalist sentiments that would later culminate in the struggle for independence. The Middle East experienced profound changes as a result of colonialism, particularly following the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire. The Sykes-Picot Agreement, 1916, between Britain and France divided the region into spheres of influence, leading to the creation of new states with artificial borders. The Balfour Declaration, 1917, and the subsequent British mandate in Palestine set the stage for the enduring Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Nationalist movements in countries like Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon sought to assert independence and establish sovereign states, often facing significant resistance from colonial powers. In the Indian subcontinent, British colonial rule had a profound impact on the Muslim population. The decline of the Mughal Empire in the 18th century paved the way for British dominance, which brought about significant economic, social, and political changes. The introduction of Western education and legal systems, combined with the economic exploitation of resources, led to widespread discontent. The Indian independence movement, led by figures like Mahatma Gandhi and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, eventually succeeded in 1947, resulting in the partition of India and the creation of Pakistan, a separate state for Muslims. The struggle for independence in the Islamic world was marked by a combination of peaceful resistance, political negotiations, and armed conflict. The decolonization process, which accelerated after World War II, saw the emergence of new nation-states across Africa and Asia. Leaders like Gamal Abdel Nasser in Egypt, Sukarno in Indonesia, and Ahmed Ben Bella in Algeria became symbols of anti-colonial resistance and national liberation. The post-colonial period brought new challenges for the newly independent states. Many countries grappled with the legacies of colonial rule, including economic underdevelopment, political instability, and social divisions. The Cold War also influenced the trajectories of these states, as they navigated the complexities of global politics and sought to assert their sovereignty in a bipolar world. The Ottoman Empire and the impact of colonialism have left an indelible mark on the modern Islamic world. The rise and fall of the Ottomans, followed by the experience of colonial rule, shaped the political, social, and cultural landscapes of many Muslim-majority countries. The struggle for independence and the subsequent efforts to build stable and prosperous nations continue to define the region's contemporary history, reflecting a dynamic interplay of tradition, modernity, and global influence.